Hello everyone, welcome to the Hong Kong Mini Workshop. This time we're going to introduce to you the digital showroom presentation in Cloud. So we have three parts today. The first part is to build up a scene, which is the whole environment. And the second part, we'll learn how to create racks, custom hanger, and mannequins to showcase your garment. And the third part, we'll learn how to present the finished workroom in 2D images or 3D display. To begin, let's align with the user settings. Set to a higher default particle distance value when we're building up scene. It helps to speed up the loading time when handling large patterns. So I'm setting it to 100. For the user interface, the unit system that I'm using is So you can set to the same value to follow the steps better. And we're all set to build the scene. We're going to build walls by pattern and then use the add thickness rendering to express the thickness. There are different ways to create walls, and we have to consider which face we're going to add thickness on. For example, for front face, we're adding thickness on the front and the back, and for side face is the left and right. Now let's get started. We can open an avatar first. So this avatar is just a reference of how large the walls is going to be. And then we'll use the rectangle tool to create a rectangle wall pattern. This time I'm using the front face as the base to create the wall. I'm switching to the transform pattern tool to move the 2D pattern and also 3D to the ground center. So you'll find the move to ground center by right-click in the 3D pattern. When we're going to move the patterns, we have to make sure that we are moving from the same view each time and also use the gizmo to help. It helps us to align with the axis. And then use the internal line tools to draw an internal line on the pattern. So I'm going to open an arch on the wall. Check if you already turned on the show internal lines. It's really important, or else we cannot see where is the arch is going to be located on the wall. Cut it out. And then remove the cutout pattern. For the next step, we can start to add some thickness on it. So go to the property editor and then check the simulation property. I'll add the thickness to 300. And you have to switch to the thick texture surface display so that we can see the thickness of the wall. Now the wall looks curvy. We can turn off the curved side geometry to make it sharp. However, if you zoom in, you can see that some part is not smooth on the line. So this is because we have some pattern point. And we can remove the unwanted points by selecting and then right-click to do Convert to Curve Point. And turn off the curved side geometry again. You'll see how the points are smoothed. And I'm going to add a file with the walls prepared earlier. The next step, I'm going to try building up stairs using the side face as the base. So click to start, hold the Shift key and right-click at the same time and input the measurement. Hold your Shift key and right-click at the same time, type in measurement. Okay, now we go back to the starting point to end. Move the stairs to the ground center in 3D space. And then give it some thickness. Set it to be 9,000. And then turn off the curved side geometry. Check that the stairs should be below the grid. Next, I'm going to assign the pattern to different materials. We can prepare images to apply it as a texture. So usually we need to adjust the texture scales, so you can use the edit texture tool. Check on the 3D pattern to see whether you are satisfied with this effect. And then I can still create a shiny marble look by changing the material type and the color. So there are still some reflection values that we can adjust for a more natural shininess. We're still missing the ceiling, so I'm going to make a copy from the floor pattern and then adjust the thickness to 8,000. So you see that each time when I move pattern, I'm using the preset view angles and the gizmo tool. Now we finish building up the scene, and then we have to prepare to export. And I'm going to separate each walls with different fabric, even though the materials are the same. We have 5 walls here, so we need to make 5 copies. And then rename to identify. And then assign the pattern to the materials accordingly. So make sure that each wall has one material. For floors and stairs, I'm going to consider as one part, so I just use one material. And delete the avatar. Next, we can go to File, Export, Export as OBJ. For the export setting, I'm selecting all patterns with multiple objects with thickness and save with a zip file combined with the texture images. Then you can find that we have a zip file saved already. With the above setting, we'll be able to get this OBJ allowed us to select each wall independently and then adjust the property of the walls, for example, like opacity and color. This is the measurements of my workroom, and you can take it as a reference for your later practice. And now we can start to prepare for the backdrop. I'll copy another pattern with the same size of the front wall. And then remove the arch. For this pattern, we don't need much additional thickness, so reduce it to a lower value. Prepare a new fabric material for the backdrop pattern. And then move the pattern by gizmo. Next, prepare an image and then apply it as a graphic. I will rescale according to the size of the backdrop. And then use the Transform Graphic tool to adjust the view. Next, I'm going to delete all patterns except the backdrop screen. And then save it as a garment. So it allowed us to move or change to different graphics later on. And all in total, we'll have a zip OBJ file and also the garment file. When we finish handling the large patterns like scene, remember to reset the particle distance back to 20, or else it may affect the garment appearance. And we're ready for part 2.
Then we'll learn how to create a web. First of all, we start with rectangle tool, one click in 2D pattern window, and then enter the measurement. And then press OK. After that, we use Edit Pattern tool, left click the top left corner, move it to our right hand side. At the same time, right click. And then we can control the distance. And then press OK. Then we can select the outline and then right click, offset as internal line. And the distance is 30. And then press OK. Then right click on the internal line, press cut. And then select the unnecessary pattern and then delete. Then we need to move the corner. We can use Smooth Curve tool, left click the corner. Press and hold your left mouse button and then move it. At the same time, right click, then you can enter the specific measurement for the round corner. Then we can lock the ratio and then enter to measurement. Press OK. And select the inner corner. Right click, enter the measurement, and then OK. Then we can use Edit Pattern. Left click the center front, right click, unfold. Then we just finish the first pattern. Then we can switch to polygon 2, one click on the empty space, and then draw the line. At the same time, right click. Then we can control the length to 30 mm, and then keep continue to draw the line. And close the pattern. Also, we need to smooth the corner. Smooth curve to click the corner. At the same time, right click. After that, we use internal polygon line to draw the internal line at the center. And use the segment sewing to pairing up these two patterns. Then we can go to 3D window. Left click. Then we can go to 3D window. Left click the second pattern. Right click. Move to ground center. Then left click the first pattern. Right click. Superimpose over. After that, we can right click on the empty space, change the gizmo tool to local coordinate. This might more easier to arrange the pattern placement. So we left click the first pattern. You can press and hold your select, then use the green circle to rotate your pattern. Then continue to fine-tune the pattern placement. Then we can move on. We need to use the eclipse pattern to draw the circle pattern. Then we can use internal polygon line. Draw the internal line for 30 mm, and then press OK. Then we can use segment 2, segment sewing 2, click to pairing up the circle and second pattern. Go to 3D window, left click the circle pattern, right click, superimpose over. Then rotate your pattern. And adjust the placement. Then reset all the pattern, change the particle distance to 10 and thickness rendering 30. Also, you can adjust the curvature, and I adjust to 0. Then zoom in to the circle pattern, fine-tune the placement. Finally, we can add the texture. You can drag drop your texture image to Fabric 1. And last, we can click File, Export, OBJ. Enter the name, and then save. We click select all patterns, multiple objects, thick, scale, mm, and save with texture files zip, and then OK. So if we have a new file, and then we can open the new file, click File, New. Then we can click File, Import, OBJ, click our web file, open as after, and then OK. For the next, we'll create our custom hanger. We can go to library, hanger, double click the hanger, then go to 3D window, left click the hanger body, remove the texture, and then open your texture folder, drag and drop the texture image to texture column, then left click the whole, and then change the opacity to 0. After that, use rectangle pattern tool, one click on 2D pattern window, enter the measurement, and then press OK. Then go to 3D window, select the pattern, and then move up on the hanger body. You can use the gizmo tool to fine-tune the pattern placement. Remove it at the center. Okay. After that, you can drag and drop the texture image to fabric 1. You may use edit texture tool to adjust the texture scale and the placement. Then go to property editor. Change the curvature to 0 and add thickness rendering 3. After that, go to File, Export, OBJ. Enter your file name and then save. We save all patterns and avatar, multiple objects, click, and save with texture files C, and then press OK. If we open the new file, we can go to File, Import, OBJ. Select our hanger file, and then open as avatar. Press OK. Then we have our custom hanger here. After the custom hanger, we'll create our custom mark. So we can go to library, avatar. Then you can choose male, female, or kids. So we click female v2, double click the avatar. And then the avatar will add to our 3D workspace. So now press and hold shift to select all the parts of the avatar, including the shoes, hair, face, eyes, bowl, and eye splash. After that, go to Property Editor, remove the texture. Then you may change the material type to metal. Also scroll down, you can adjust the roughness, reflection, intensity, and the metalness. After we adjust the material type, we can go to pose and then change to arm down pose. Press OK. For the next step, we can go to File, Save as Avatar. Enter your file name, and then click Save. If we open the new file, and then we can click File, Add Avatar, and then set our avatar file. Then we just have a custom after here. After we create our rack, custom hanger, and custom avatar, then we can open back our scenes folder. Open our scenes and then go to File, Import, Add, OBJ, set our rack, add as avatar. You can use your gizmo tool to move the rack to our right hand side. Also, you can rotate your rack. If you feel difficult to move your rack, you can right click the empty space gizmo, local coordinate. Then it may be easier to move the rack. Then click File again with Import, add another OBJ hanger. Also add as avatar. Then move your hanger. Combine with the rack. You can zoom in and then move it closer with the rack. Remember, always change to different angle to rearrange your pattern or OBJ. Then we can go back to File, Add Avatar. Then we add our custom avatar here. Also, low type, Add, and then press OK. Then also use the gizmo tool to rotate and move your avatar to the corner. If you would like to readjust the placement or move the avatar, if you left click, you cannot move or adjust the placement. So you need to go to the vertical menu, show X-ray joints, then click the red ball here. Then you can see the gizmo tool, and then you can move the avatar again by this gizmo tool. After finished, go to vertical menu, click show X-ray joint again. Then we can add the garment. You can go to your garment file, right click the garment file, add to workspace. So we can paste the scarf on the rack. If you feel it difficult to adjust or arrange the pattern, you can right click the empty space gizmo, change it back to screen coordinate, and select all the patterns in 2D pattern window. Keep rotate to the accurate pace. And then simulate. And then we need to wait a few seconds. And then stop the simulation. Add another t-shirt to workspace. Also, zoom in, move the garment to the hanger by gizmo tool. Also rotate to different angle. And then zoom in. Remember, the hanger should be wearing the t-shirt. So we need to keep rotate and change to different angle to paste the garment. and then simulate. Then we just put the t-shirt on the hanger. Then we can add our last garment. Right-click the garment, add to workspace, add, and then press OK. Zoom into the garment, move it close to the avatar. Also change to different angle. Rotate the garment. We need to make sure the garment is fit to the avatar. And then simulate. Okay. After that, we can stop the simulation. Then that's how we combine all 3D assets, including the rack, avatar, and the garments together, and put it all into this scenes. And remember, in 2D pattern window, you also need to separate the pattern. Don't make the pattern overlapping. So if you add more than one garment, make sure all the garments are separated on the 2D pattern window.
For part 3, we're going to focus on the presentation. It could be presented in a render 2D image or uploaded to Closet for a 3D presentation. Open a file that combined with the scene and backdrop. Now we'll try rendering. Open the render window. And then turn on the interactive rendering. So the first step, we have to set the size and the scale of the image in the image or video properties. And then we can work on the view angles by setting some custom view. So each time if we save a custom view, we can double click to go back. And for example, we'd like to have another custom view that show more space of the stairs. But the walls appear in the render image and blocking my views. So let's stop the interactive rendering first and save the view angle. And I'll adjust the wall opacity. So previously we divided the walls in different materials, so it's flexible to adjust just one wall with a lower opacity. So try not to set to 0 at first, or else it may be difficult to select again. So set to 5, then at least we can still select it. And later on when you render the image, then you can turn it to 0. Now go back to the custom view and then turn on the interactive rendering again. You see that the wall is no longer blocking us. The next step, we can try to adjust the light properties. So here it shows all the lights we currently have. There are some general properties that all lights have. For example, intensity, which refers to how strong or soft the light is. Light angle affect the light direction and shadow. And we can also adjust the size and the color of the light. By default, we already have one dome light here. If we need to add more lights, you can find from the second row of the rendering toolbar, and dome light is also included. For dome light, it is an environment light. So we use some environment map files to adjust to different light settings. For example, we're changing to a lower contrast light. And we have a bunch of files that you can try with in the preset libraries. This time we need to lower the intensity of the dome light because we're creating a room inside of the whole environment. So if we still use the dome light as the main light, the walls is going to block the light. Now we can try the rectangle light. So click once to add the light. You see a screen in both 3D and render space with a gizmo tool. So you can use the gizmo to move and rotate the screen. And here there is a dotted line actually showing where the light direction is going. With a higher intensity, the light is stronger. For the color, we usually won't keep it as a completely white. So add a slightly tint to help creating atmosphere. And the size can be adjusted by the width and height. If you want to turn off or on the light, you can click Activate. And the show, it means that whether we want the light screen to be visible or not, but still the lights exist. Now I'm adding a new light and adjust the position. So it's easy that we can use the rectangle light to light up the whole mannequin area. So let's turn them off and unshow to try another light, sphere light. Sphere light is like a ball, and we can adjust the size of the ball by radius. For sphere light, the lights come from the sphere to the whole environment. So it's very useful to light up the inner parts, for example, inside of the garment, and this time, inside of the room. And then we can deactivate and hide to try another light, directional light. For directional light, it's also possible to select and move by gizmo, but where we place it is not affecting the light that much. Directional light is an infinity parallel light source with a hard shadow. So if we rotate and change the light angle, you see the difference. So very similar to dome light, is also a light come from the whole environment, and it's very useful to imitate sunlight. Next, we can try spotlight. Spotlight is a light cone that gives focus on a specific item. So same with the other lights, we can use the gizmo to adjust the direction. For the cone angle, it helps us to change the size of the light. For example, a higher value, the larger the circle it is. And for pen number angle, it is affecting the softness of the light. So with a larger number, it softens the edges, so spread even larger with the same cone angle. And this time I'll just keep it in a lower value to soften just a little. And then shadow radius. With a larger shadow radius, it helps us to soften the edges of the shadows. And then the last light will be IES light. IES light is the most photorealistic, and we need IES files to apply the light. It contains information such as shape, direction, intensity, so all combined in one file. Since IES file also contains the light intensity, so for this part, it will only be displayed as specified. When you play with different lightings, you will have a rendering result like this. And the other way to present the showroom is to upload to Closet. So Closet is a cloud and communication platform which allows us to upload and view 3D files for free. For advanced function, we have the 3D tag pack so you can see the pattern, file break, and trims information. If you'd like to share the result with others, you can add them by email, so they can have the access to edit the file or just a viewer, and even share with link. We can create the embed viewer to generate code for external website, so you can also put this in your own website for e-commerce. That's it for today, and thanks for joining us. I hope it gives you a better idea of building a workroom and how to present it. Thank you.